one. I was told that the green background was boring, and so we've jammed a bunch of stuff into the screen now. So hopefully it's not as boring.
We've got snacks.
And we have snacks. So if we're eating in the middle, that's, whatever.
It's part of the process.
It is.
That's how we keep the genius flowing.
Yes, that and the coffee. So today, it's the few days before Christmas. So we wanted to bring up detoxes, resolutions.
Yeah, cleanses, diets. We're about to be bombarded. You might already be. I don't know. I feel like it's creeping up because people are starting to advertise for their things that are their diets that are coming up in, or cleanses. Because like some diets I get if it's like, for high blood pressure or something like that. If it's something that's medically specific, but now is when you're gonna start to see the detox thing, like, because you're all gonna get so hammered on New Year's Eve that you're gonna need that detox the next week. So it's coming.
Yeah, as a business owner, I think I get sort of slammed a couple different ways. So like as a business owner, I get a bunch of ridiculous things emailed to me and sent to me in different ways. I get ridiculous phone calls, and all about these holiday things, beginning of the year things that different companies want me to promote, which I don't agree with. And on top of that, then also as a person who's been to other yoga studios or has, I've visited different websites and things like that, I'm just a target for all this stuff.
What are some examples?
Well,
without calling anybody out specifically, unless you want to.
I'll try to be polite. So, I think the things that I kind of do like are, but I'm going to put some caveats on all this. The things I kind of like are like those 30-day challenges. However, asterisks.
Yeah.
Within reason.
Right.
Because I think that practicing a meditation practice every day, practicing, the things that I don't like are try to hit this pose every single day, this new pose every single day for 30 days, where there's no discussion about warm-up, what should go beforehand.
Yeah.
And then it becomes a competition. Post it on Instagram.
Yeah, I've been thinking about that one a lot because I've been tagged in a few of those, and I've failed pretty miserably pretty quickly because it'll be like a 7-day challenge, and by day 2 I'm like, what was I doing? I'm not gonna do a headstand today. I shouldn't be doing a headstand at all. And then I realized that I can't do that challenge because I can't do day 3. And then I look through it and I'm like, okay, so I have whiplash and I have this issue with my back, so I can't do day 3, day 5. So
yeah.
So, but there's no mention of that in these challenges. I think that it neglects to, and it could be any kind of fitness challenge. I think yoga is just really ripe for that right now. It's almost like you should just assume any of those challenges are for somebody that's been practicing a really, really long time and has no physical limitations or injuries, because I've been I've tried to start at least 3 of those just this last month because somebody's like, give it a try, it'll be fun, and then I'm like, I got through day 1, and then things happen, or I can't physically do the pose, and then I'm like, oh, if I can't do this pose, I'm not a good yoga teacher. So that's the other thing that has to be happening to other people.
Yeah.
I have this suspicion that challenges like that and the Instagram yoga thing, which I still am so on the fence about that because I'm a yoga teacher and I'm on Instagram and I want people to take my classes. Right. I feel like the majority of the population isn't inspired by really fancy yoga poses. I think the majority of the population is feeling a little bit worse about themselves.
Yeah. I can't do that.
Yeah.
I can't do that pose. And if I can't do that pose or look that good in it or all the things, then I'm just not going to do it.
Yeah, and I've done a few things like that, with the challenges and things. Like there was an arm balance challenge, and I feel it makes me feel really kind of icky to post them, because what inevitably happens is people that don't do yoga start posting comments like, I could never do that, or they post comments about, it's all disparaging things about them. So rather than seeing that and saying, can you teach me how to do that, which in my head is the point, but that's not what happens. People end up seeing it and they're like, I can't even touch my toes, or I could never do that, or I'm too fat to do that, or I'm too this to do that, or it turns into, I don't know, comments about my body that put them in, lower on the, it's not a hierarchy, but they put them, below that. So that's where I get really torn about the Instagram yoga thing. I mean, if it makes somebody feel good and they feel really happy when they post those pictures, I think that's okay, but there's a whole other side to it, I think.
Yeah. And I think that goes into our previous discussions, and this I think is actually a lot of the foundation of what our main concerns and frustrations are with the yoga industry, the yoga community, is this exact kind of thing. Mm-hmm. Like, we need to be very careful about the way that we are presenting yoga, how we're presenting ourselves. And I think, on one hand, yes, it's as yoga teachers, so I'm very hyper aware of it because of that. But then also, as a woman who's practiced yoga for a very long time, my own feelings, up and down feelings of self-worth, lack of self-worth, my body image and things like that. Mm-hmm. I think you just have to be very careful,
I agree. The thing with the Instagram yoga is that you can do your hashtags, and you can see your hashtags of whatever the pose is. And then there's always this little part of me that if I post a pose, I want to see what other people look like doing that pose. And then it pulls up, girls in their 20s, women in their 20s. I'm trying not to call people girls. But, women in their 20s that are hyper flexible. They're a lot taller than me. They're a lot thinner than me. And then in my head, I'm immediately like, they look better in that pose. I don't know if I want to keep this up.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, when I've ranted about this before, I'll have people point out to me like, well, you are probably that person to somebody else.
It's true.
And then I feel even worse. I'm like, oh, none of us can win.
No,
so it's just really, it's hard to find the balance there, because as a yoga teacher, people need to, if they don't know that you exist, they need to know you exist somehow, and social media is not going away, and people want to see faces. They want to see what you look like so they can make that connection. So it's really hard to find that balance between overexposure and just letting people know you exist.
Yeah, it is a challenge. I'm going to digress for a second, and we're going to get back to the detoxes and stuff.
Yeah.
So you'd posted, fair game, you posted online, so I'm going to bring it up.
Yeah.
So you shared the picture of you deadlifting 225.
Yeah.
And you made a comment that was actually twice your weight at the time.
Yeah.
So what's interesting to me, and I feel like I want to share this for myself with people. Like, okay, so I did the math on what that would be as far as what your weight would have been around then. And, I just want to share, like, I don't know the last time I weighed less than 120. I am personally right now probably about 135. And a realistic weight for me where I actually feel good is, if I weigh 127, I feel like I'm probably starving myself.
Yeah.
And so my point in just saying that is, I like to practice yoga and the other things. So I run and I bike and I do all these things. I like to practice in order to feel good. I want to feel good in my clothes, and I want to feel good in my body.
Right.
And day to day.
Right. And that brings up a really interesting point, because at the time, so that was 4 or 5 years ago, and I really was using powerlifting to kind of get me out of a place of disordered eating and actually being underweight. And really what it did for me, which I think this kind of thing happens all the time, is it shifted the obsession with numbers on the scale to obsession with numbers on the barbell, and it became the same part of my brain, and it became the same obsession. And I may have, maybe I talked about this in one of them, maybe I didn't, but I remember like I really, really wanted to compete that same year in the 114 weight class, which is probably not, probably shouldn't weigh that much because I'm more muscular and muscle is blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
But I was obsessed with that number, and I did all of these things to try to make it to that weight class. And then the day of the competition, I weighed in at 116, and I was so devastated. I thought that I was the biggest failure in the world. I had spent months and months and months and months training. Like my numbers for, deadlift, squat, bench were really, really good. But in that moment, I didn't care, because that meant that I was going to have to compete in the 123 pound, class, which there were like 2 people in that. Like there were, for this particular competition, I don't think anybody was in 114, but I had just shifted the same part of my brain to a different thing. So it's a habit that's taken me a really long time to get out of, but that's what I was doing at that time with the deadlifting thing. Was it was like, because I wanted to be elite. Like I wanted to be elite about everything. So I would check these numbers online for powerlifting, like what's the elite bench, what's the elite deadlift, and stuff like that. And that was exactly what I was going for at that time, was like the elite numbers or, these certain markers, but it was the same exact part of my brain. Same part of my brain. So same stuff that happens with, like seeing people on a really cool yoga pose. It's like, oh, if I can't do that, I've not succeeded. Right. It just moves and shifts, and it's like a daily battle.
Yeah. I stopped weighing myself a few years ago.
Yeah, that's probably good.
My scale it's ran out of batteries. So it was actually, it was a Fitbit scale. So, several years ago, like all of my everything was connected. So my Fitbit was connected to, my scale was connected to my thing, to like online and all these things. And so I was tracking everything really close.
Yeah.
And then it just consumed me.
Yep. I had to get rid of my Fitbit.
I gave away my Fitbit. Somebody else can be consumed.
Yeah.
I don't want to do it.
Yeah, I think those kind of challenges are going to start to come up too in workplace environments. Yeah. I don't think I don't know if that'll happen to me in my current job right now, but I know that after the holidays, things like that start to pop up. I know that some companies will do, because so many people have Fitbits and smartwatches, they'll start to do these, they'll do like a Biggest Loser competition, which now we know that most people that participated in that show gain all of their way back. Yep. But it's going to be really hard, I think, for everybody starting in like a week to avoid those messages.
Yeah. And I think that takes us into all the other stuff that we're talking about.
Yeah.
What do you want to talk about first?
I was really excited about the idea of Mitahara.
Yes.
So we were discussing this a little bit. It's considered one of the
yamas. Yeah.
The 10th yamas, which I was like, I thought there were only 9. But I guess this is one that goes back to like, I don't know, like the Hatha Yoga, Pradipika, and, maybe a little bit, other than just, everybody talks about Patanjali's, sutras and how we have 9 of them. But this was popping up as a 10th, and the idea is it's just moderation.
Yeah. Simple as that.
Like moderation, specifically for food, and translated to moderate habit of eating. And the idea with that is that you should choose or strive to eat foods that are tasty. This was like the best thing. Tasty, nutritious, and likable. So they should be tasty and nutritious. You should like them. And they should be sufficient to meet the needs of the body and the inner self. So things that fuel you and make you feel good. And then it went on to say it's a matter of eating when you're hungry and stopping before you're just stuffed and sick and full, which people are suffering with eating disorders, that can be a really tricky thing. But typically, even in eating disorder treatment, that's their goal for people for recovery, is to learn how to eat when hungry and stop when you're just starting to feel full. So.
And that, I mean, for me, that is probably my weakest thing is, I don't suffer from a lack of eating. It would take me a lot to be anorexic.
Yeah.
Not a thing. However, the flip side is I notice that I eat, when I'm doing something, so I do a lot of computer work. When I'm doing something that's very focused, I like something crunchy, like popcorn or whatever. And so it sort of like keeps me in my head. But then also I eat when I'm thirsty, when I'm tired, when I'm bored. And so truly, like, the whole drink a glass of water, like, truly the solution is always easy. You know, Occam's razor. You know, if there's something wrong with your computer, turn it off and turn it back on again. You'll probably fix it. Same thing with your printer. Same thing with your body, with your hunger. Drink a glass of water. Yeah. Give it a minute, and then see, like, do I really need to have that bag of Doritos?
Right. I know. I think that's what I was trying to think of with the holidays coming up. That idea of moderation, the idea of eating foods that are tasty, nutritious, and likable. The holidays are especially hard because there's just an abundance of food. But I think one of the things with moderation is to avoid avoidance. Because the avoidance is going to leave you feeling
like you're missing out.
Psychologically pretty bad. Yeah. And then for a lot of people, that's usually what leads to binging later. I mean, that's just basic human nature. If you deprive, you're going to try to make up for it later.
That's why I dated that guy in high school. It was because my mom told me not to.
Right. And we all do stuff like that. The foods that are supposed to be really bad and forbidden, once we put them in that category, then we want them even more.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. I mean, so try to be more clever than your mind.
Yeah.
You know your weak points. I mean, I know when I start to, like, just mindlessly put food in my mouth, I need to stop and think, like, am I hungry? Mm-hmm. And I am hungry because I ran this morning, didn't eat enough breakfast, and this is why I actually do have food in front of my face. Also, when you're around other people, family members, things like that, on the holidays, you don't have to take the full piece of pie.
No.
Take a little bit to make Aunt Betty feel good about you eating her sweet potato pie. And truly, to feel satisfied, you don't need to have a huge piece anyway. Truly, like a couple of bites, and maybe you have a few little piles of things anyways.
I think some of it falls into what we were talking about earlier, the feeling of obligation too. Yeah. It's really easy to let yourself feel obligated to do certain things or not do certain things, especially around the holidays. It's almost like we're taught to shut off the part of our brain that is supposed to be mindful and asking, what do I actually need right now? Right. So that we're putting the needs of others first, and we're really not obligated to anyone but ourselves. And I think a lot of people may have issues with family or friends or whomever in their lives where maybe that's the relationship dynamic and they don't really know how to go against that, so they just kind of let themselves fall into it, and it's a really tough time to be mindful, I think.
It is, and I think that at least setting yourself up ahead of time, preparing ahead of time for, I mean, it's like training for something. Yeah. I personally do have to train for being with family, because in a jammed, like 2 or 3 days, I'm seeing, not only am I seeing so many people, I'm seeing so many family members. Yeah. And, so it's not for me, it's not always as comfortable as I would like it to be. Right. I don't really feel like I can totally be myself. And that's hard for me.
Yeah, I think that's pretty common too. And for the introverts out there, it's the ability to get that downtime and the time you need to recharge can be really difficult. So you have to you have to really ramp up the self-care game, because you have to be more aware of when you need to back off. Yep. And you also have to be a little bit braver, I think, about getting that downtime, because with these feelings of obligation, and usually there are just more things happening. It's really hard to do that. And I think, I'm not a mom, but I think for probably moms, it's probably some of the hardest.
Oh, yeah.
This is probably one, even though it could be maybe rewarding, this is probably one of the hardest times of year to actually like take care of oneself.
Oh, sure.
So
I like to take my glass of wine or coffee, depending on the time of day and really how I feel, and just go outside for a little bit.
Oh my gosh,
go out of the house.
Yeah.
Where it's quieter, you don't have all of the stuff, and just take a few minutes. Like, so I don't smoke.
Yeah.
All these lucky smokers get to go out for like
I always thought that.
7
You
minutes
lucky
at least.
smokers.
Yeah, you get to go outside for 10 to 15 minutes and get away from everybody. And your excuse is, oh, I got to go out for a smoke. Why is that acceptable, but not me? Because what they're really saying is, you people are driving me crazy. I need to smoke.
Yeah.
Get away from you. And so why can't I just be like, I gotta get away from you. I'm gonna take my wine outside for 10 minutes.
I know. When I used to work, I worked in a coffee shop for a long time, and whenever people would ask for a smoke break, I would usually say I was gonna go out for an air break.
Yeah.
I would say, I need one too. And they're like, you don't smoke. I'm like, I need an air break.
Freaking break.
Yeah, it's like you don't get as many breaks if you're not a smoker. Well, in a coffee shop environment. I don't know if that's changed. Maybe it's changed over the last 10 years. Maybe fewer people are smoking. They're all vaping now. What are kids doing nowadays? I don't know.
These kids and their vaping.
They're all just vaping, and I don't
God.
even know anymore.
These days. Stuff is so bizarre.
Yeah, but yeah, the balancing thing is really hard this time of year. So finding that balance between moderation in all things. So moderation and balance in all things. So balancing the output with the input, and balancing the food, balancing the people time is really, really hard.
Yeah. And for me, moderation truly is, okay, so I'm going to go sit over here with this person for a little bit. I'm going to get up, and I'm not going to apologize. Sorry, like this is family. You guys are supposed to love me regardless, right? So I'm gonna tap into that and really test that love and be like, all right, I got to get up and go over here.
Right.
And maybe I'm going to get up and go get a piece of cheese. And then I'll come and sit over here, and then I'll go, but also like my plate, I'm not going to put like I'll have little things. My plate will be full.
Yeah.
But with little piles, and maybe I will go back a couple times.
Right.
But I'm going to pace myself, because, Aaron's family eat like buffet style. So we go up, we get our food, we go sit down. Versus my family, we all sit down, we have the meal, and that's it.
Yeah.
I kind of like the buffet style.
I prefer it. That's what my family's been doing for a while.
I like to graze, go up, get what I want, sit back down, let it sit around for a little bit. Oh, I'm hungry again.
Yeah.
Have a little bit more. I feel like I can actually portion control a little bit better when I eat when I'm hungry, as opposed to saying like, this is now the time to eat.
That's a hard one too. That's another hard aspect of the holidays too, is that you're kind of at the mercy of those around you, and it's harder to practice some of these things associated with mindfulness and moderation. And I'm going to use the word bravery again. I think it takes a little bit more bravery to almost stand up for yourself in some of those settings. But also knowing that it's okay to do that. And then in the long run, if you go out for a 10-minute breathing break, is that really going to ruin Christmas? I mean, I hope not. If that's what's going to ruin Christmas, there's a lot of other stuff going on.
Yeah, we have that a
lot. That's a problem. That's a problem that's a lot bigger than, just Christmas. But yeah, just having, and maybe even having conversations with family members too. I mean, if you're a yoga teacher, at least they already think you're a little bit weird anyway. So maybe just owning that a little bit more is what it'll take. Like, I'm a yoga teacher, so I'm gonna go do this weird thing for the next 15 minutes.
Like, you wouldn't understand.
Yeah, maybe even make a joke about it.
I'm gonna go do a mudra, and I'm gonna find my Uddiyana Bandha.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Hi everyone. I wanted to take a moment to, number one, give a special thanks to all of our Patreon patrons who are supporting. We keep on gaining more, and that's fantastic. I appreciate it so much. remember that patrons who are supporting at the $5 level and above, and this is just $5 a month, mind you. I changed that in December. $5 a month or higher, you're getting free streaming classes Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. The AM classes, 6 a.m. And if you can't attend live, if you can't watch live, they are recorded the minute that I stop the broadcast on the class. That's really cool, I think, because many of you, 6 a.m. is pretty early. I'm a weirdo and I like the morning. Also, patrons who are supporting at a $20 level and higher, starting in January on the 16th, the Wednesday evening 7:30 class Learner Series. That will be streamed live for free for patrons at $20 and higher. You can always also come to the class and be in person. They're a lot of fun. In January, the topic is going to be mindfulness. We'll have this class for 6 weeks, learning different things each class, and then we'll take 2 weeks off, and then we'll start with a new series, always a 6-week series. So that's for $20 and higher. You'll get to stream for free, either live or recorded. So thank you to patrons. If you're interested in becoming a Patreon patron, go to patreon.com/yogahappiness. I'm told I don't need to keep saying / anymore, so I'm going to try to remove that from my vocabulary. But also, and more importantly, because Lauren and I are talking about all of these things relating to the holidays, family, food, all of this stuff, a lot of things can come up. So we wanted to share with you links to the suicide prevention hotline and website. Reach out. There's no bad reason to contact them. Please do. I want to see you again in the new year. Also, for people with eating disorders, again, this is hard. There's a lot of food being shoved in your face, and whether, depending on the spectrum of where your eating disorder lies, this is tough, especially when you're around people who maybe you feel obligated to eat it. So, if you need assistance with that, contact this place. And then finally, just for general mental health issues and substance abuse issues, here's a link that can help as well. We're going to have this on the yogahappiness.us website, and it will be on the Patreon page, the link for this episode as well as the next one that will air on New Year's Day. So have a happy holiday, be safe, take care of yourself. You can't pour water from an empty pitcher. You're the empty pitcher, pour water into it. Take care of yourself, okay? Namaste. Bye.